Son turned 7 weeks old on Friday, and this week has been the hardest week that we've endured so far for a few reasons. To start off with, it was my first week of solo parenting. A little bit more about that. So as you may or may not know, our house was under renovations, so we had to stay in an Airbnb for a little while. Every time we thought that we were approaching the end of us having to stay in the Airbnb, our landlord would call us up and say, hey, sorry, you have to stay for another few days, which was a lot of fun with like a 4-week-old, as I'm sure you can imagine. The day that was the actual deadline that we were allowed to come home was the day that my mom left. And so my husband and I had to pack up the Airbnb and move all of our stuff back into the house with the dog, with my son. There's just a lot going on, and it was extremely stressful. It was also the very first time that I fully appreciated how debilitating it is to have a child. I don't mean that in like a bad way, but just it's very difficult, right? Like my husband was trying to pack up the fridge, trying to pack up all of the stuff, trying to put the trash outside. My son was just screaming unless there was a boob in his mouth. So I'm sat there trying to feed him, trying to relax him, not able to help my husband. And every time I put my son down to try and help my husband, because of course, like I want to help, I don't want to be sat down, not helping when there's so much to do, my son would cry. It was really difficult to have to kind of accept that I couldn't be as helpful and proactive as I normally would be. Which brings me on to the other elements that have been difficult. I feel like I've been in almost like a honeymoon stage of motherhood because I've had my mom here to help me. And 7 weeks in, she's no longer with us. I had no one to help me when my husband went back to work. Like I would be sat there hungry and I'd have to get my own food, which sounds like such a basic thing. And I know people have been having this problem from week one, so I know that I've been very blessed, but it definitely changes the game on motherhood. Originally I was like, I could have 5 more. And now I'm like, could I have 5 more? I'm probably too old to have 5 more, but I also don't know if I have it in me to have 5 more. But yeah, that's been a challenge in the solo parenting world. I think I've been doing an okay job with solo parenting. I'm thriving on a routine. I love having like an idea of his wake windows, his nap times. So that's been working really well. And I also feel like I've been able for now to be productive during his nap time. So like right now he's napping. I've been contacting people for projects that my husband and I are working on. I'm making a video, but with regards to my son's development, he's becoming a little man. Like, I dressed him in a little outfit yesterday. It was like a shirt and pants. It wasn't a onesie like what we normally go for. And he looked like a little boy. He's definitely coming out of the newborn phase. I think next week or like this Friday, he's technically no longer a newborn. So that feels both sad but also exciting. Starting to give us a few smiles. I just can't wait for him to be like even more engaging. Right now he's still a little bit like off into space when he's just chilling. But it's just like the other morning I woke up and I put my head over his little cot and I said, good morning. And he smiled at me and I was like, it was so cute. On the note of my Glow Up Like a Mother series that I was working on, last week I worked out once. I was meant to do a 40-minute workout. I did 20 minutes and I felt like I had been put through the ringer. I thought, you know what, I need to take it easier. So I think I'm going to take a step back on the whole like physical exertion stuff and just focus on walks and moving my body and maybe doing some yoga, some stretching. I love weightlifting, but I don't think my body can take it right now because, fun fact, did you know that if you're breastfeeding, it's the equivalent of doing 2 strenuous workouts a day, apparently, because you're burning so many calories. So yeah, I'm gonna take a step back from that because I just felt exhausted and I can't feel that exhausted and then also have to show up for my son. Other than that, my son's been extremely fussy. I feel like every week I'm like, he's fussier than last week. I'm a little bit afraid because I know that peak fussiness is meant to be at 6 weeks from gestational birth. And 6 weeks from gestational birth for us is in 2 weeks from now. So if this is not even his peak fussiness, I'm not looking forward to seeing what that peak fussiness looks like, but I'm hoping that it's just like a phase that he's going through. There was one day that I made the mistake of not having a routine because my mother-in-law came over and when she left, I felt guilty because I told her like, oh, he's napping. Like, can you try and just relax him and not wake him up too much? And the next day I was like, maybe I'm being a little bit OTT with the routine. Let me just like today chill and just hold him and see how it goes. And that day was the worst. He screamed and cried and I thought, I'm not going to do that again. We're back on the routine now. But yeah, a little bit of a whirlwind of an update, but that's where we're at. I'd love to hear if you have a 7-week-old, how it's going for you.